Welcome back to the theater of human complexity, welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. We gather here not to pass around ordinary whispers, but to watch the dam finally crack on a story that has rippled through fandoms for years. If you're drawn to the undercurrents beneath celebrity shine, you've chosen the right corner of the internet. Before we step into the storm, make sure you're subscribed with the bell lit up. And for those who love deep dives and want to fuel the independent spirit of this channel, that join button is there for you. Your support is the bedrock of what we do. Tonight's narrative is a dramatized retelling for entertainment and commentary, shaped by long-circulating public speculation and the personas involved. Today, we look at a moment destined to stick in the memory of Turkish and European gossip culture. The spotlight swings toward Ozan Akbaba, a force of the screen whose charisma has crossed borders, and whose personal life has long been shadowed by relentless curiosity. For years, a persistent storyline has lingered just out of frame, a rumor that never truly faded, drawing in the beloved Sinem Ünsal and the enigmatic Sarah Bluma. It was a tale fueled in quiet circles and revived daily in the arenas of social media, always denied or ignored, never fully addressed on the record. Until now. In this singular moment, Ozan chose to break the practiced silence and, with a handful of precise words, he reframed the past and set the present ablaze. The setting was one of those exclusive interviews where answers are usually pre-calibrated and emotions held to a safe simmer. The journalist's final question, one that has hovered over Ozan's career like a low, stubborn cloud, landed. The room stilled. Ozan, a man known for guarding his private world like a fortress, lowered the drawbridge. His response didn't dance around the edges. It cut straight through. "Yes, it's true," he said, his voice steady enough to freeze the air. "That was the reason we broke up." With those two lines, a tower of speculation toppled into a single, undeniable moment of clarity. He didn't stop there. He continued, laying bare the anatomy of an ending that many had romanticized and many more had feverishly debated. "The trust between us was affected," he added, measuring each word. "Yes, there was a third person. And yes, I found that unacceptable." 3 short sentences, and the digital world in Turkey and beyond quaked. He didn't mention a name. He didn't have to. The collective imagination moved as one, Sarah Bluma. For months, years, there had been breadcrumbs. On one side, the vibrant, sometimes provocative online energy of Sarah, on the other, the composed, eloquent silence of Sinem Ünsal. At the center stood Ozan, a man who had apparently kept the volatile dynamics of 3 hearts in the dark for a long time, only to flip on every light in a single, decisive instant. To truly grasp the size of this confession, you have to look past the facts into the psyche of the man who uttered them. Perhaps the key is a phrase Ozan let slip, a line that reads like the inscription on scar tissue: "I could forgive, but I won't forget." That is not the voice of someone gliding easily onward. It's the cadence of someone who was marked by what happened and learned to live with the mark. It explains the years of stoic quiet, time spent metabolizing hurt, and it clarifies why, when he chose to speak, he did it with such immovable finality. He is a man who remembers, and now his memory has a microphone. Let me pause here and ask you, our thoughtful community, what do you make of Ozan's stance? Is forgive but not forget a path toward healing, or a heavy weight that never loosens? Tell us what trust means to you in the comments below. And if you value these meticulous breakdowns, please smash that like button. It helps the algorithm share our work with those who crave nuanced storytelling. The second Ozan's words went public, the media's collective gaze pivoted towards Sinem Ünsal. Ozan and Sinem were not only a magnetic pair in the eyes of fans, they were a symbol of an era, 2 artists whose synergy on and off the screen inspired a fiercely loyal audience. The end of that chapter had already left a bruise on fans' hearts. But Ozan's admission reportedly reopened another wound for Sinem. According to whispers said to come from her circle, what stings is not only the past itself, it's the act of speaking now. The quiet sentiment simmering beneath the surface is edged with bitterness. "I kept quiet for him all this time. I wish he had done the same for me." Those close to Sinem describe a long stretch of emotional and professional fatigue, The kind that accumulates when your name is continually tethered to a narrative you didn't choose. We're hearing a different telling from her side now, one that hasn't been told in this form, at least not with this urgency. A friend claims Sinem was especially devastated that Sarah's name was ever folded into the story of her relationship. Whether any accusation holds water or not becomes almost secondary to the hurt of being constantly cast at the center of a storm she did not script. Just because I don't say anything, people assume everything is true, she reportedly confided, exposing the cost of dignified silence. For years, her reluctance to speak about Ozan was rooted in respect. After this week's tremor, that respect, she suggests, feels like it wasn't returned. Naturally, the next name everyone awaited was Sarah Bluma. Sarah, known for her suggestive captions and the occasional headline-making quip that fans interpreted as winks toward Ozan and Sinem, initially sat still. But that stillness is fracturing. Reports say Sarah, admitting in private that she's nervous, now feels compelled to talk. The purpose, she says, is clear, not only to tell her side, but to protect herself. Someone close to her claimed she was floored by the insinuation of cheating that listeners heard between Ozan's words. She believes the court of public opinion has judged her without evidence. We're told a statement is coming, just not the kind that burns out in a caption. No rushed post, no fleeting story. The plan is a serious platform, the same gravity Ozan chose, the same stage lights turned to face her. Prepare for counter-narratives. Prepare for a bigger storm. Before we unpack strategy, a quick reminder, your engagement fuels these investigations. If you haven't yet, consider hitting the join button on our homepage. Becoming a member of Turkish Spotlight Secrets keeps this space independent and attentive. It's a small step for you, huge for our ability to keep digging with care. While the emotional sparks fly, there's a chessboard in motion behind Ozan. His team is not stumbling into crisis management, they're steering a calculated turn. Almost as soon as the interview aired, his management recalibrated their communications both at home and abroad, unveiling a new image campaign. The narrative is unapologetically simple, radical honesty. Ozan doesn't want to hide certain truths anymore, say those around him. They're convinced this acknowledgement, however painful, doesn't weaken him. It fortifies him. A PR strategist we consulted offered a telling perspective: clarity is risky, yes. But Ozan's wide audience tends to rally around authenticity. Instead of damage, this might give him a raw, relatable edge, more human, less distant idol. They're betting on the power of a wounded man standing in plain truth, rather than an untouchable figure floating above it all. In the wake of that gamble, the internet transformed into an archaeological site. Users dusted off long-forgotten posts, re-examined details that once felt trivial, and connected dots that previously didn't belong in the same picture. Those midnight uploads of Sarah's, once brushed off as playful, are being reread as signals. Old setside whispers that Sinem had been seen fighting back tears during a turbulent stretch are now receiving a second look through the prism of Ozan's confession. Even Ozan's vaguely melancholy interviews given before a period of career repositioning are being sifted anew. Timelines of sightings, moments when Sarah and Ozan were in the same city, same night, are resurfacing. And the surprising lack of side-by-side photos? Once coincidence, now reinterpreted as choreography. Piece by piece, fans are reconstructing a narrative they were only allowed to glimpse before. The audience isn't simply consuming. They're curating, analyzing, building the mosaic from shards of the past. Mainstream outlets scrambled after Ozan's declaration, but that confession is starting to feel like only the prologue. Rumors deepen with each passing hour, claiming the tension among these three ran beneath the surface much longer than anyone suspected. What we can articulate now is that trust eroded in the later stages of the relationship. The unnameable uncertainty. Ozan's refusal to define what he was to Sarah while never clarifying where he truly stood with Sinem created an emotional battlefield that few romances could survive. In trying to keep everyone from getting hurt, it seems everyone did. The looming questions are sharp and real. When Sarah speaks, what will she bring to light, and what will she refuse to carry for others anymore? Will Sinem, who has worn silence like a tailored coat for years, shrug it off and tell her story in her own words? And what will Ozan's next move be in this high-stakes duel of memory and reputation? Their invisible connection, Ozan, Sinem, Sarah, has been one of the most requested topics in entertainment media for years. Today, that link is visible, complicated, and more explosive than it has ever been. It feels like the storm has only just started to find its voice. Before we close, another thought for our community: do you think speaking late is better than never, or does timing cut as deeply as content? If you were in Sinem's position, would silence still feel like grace? And if you were Ozan, would you have stayed silent for protection or spoken for relief? Tell us below. Your reflections always push this conversation forward. We've reached the end of another deep dive here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video so more people can grasp the gravity of what's unfolding. If you want to support us further, that join button is waiting. Until next time, keep your eyes wide open, because the truth, even the uncomfortable kind, often stands right where we least want to look. Goodbye.